Hey, welcome back. So hopefully you finished the family social contract and you did that with some family members. If you didn't, please go back and really consider doing that, because EQ and RPJs is not just about learning something, it's about applying it. And it's really helpful if you'll do that. All right, sometimes you're gonna have problems that a timeout is not gonna solve. It's gonna be a bigger problem that you might actually have to go through a step process to solve. And when we have these problems, we just need to think of them a little bit like a speed bump and slow down and go through an organized process in order to solve that problem. I'm going to teach you a 5-step process for solving problems more effectively. And that process goes around the acronym of SOLVE. So the first step is stop and think. And the second step is to objectively state the problem, the O. The L, the third step, stands for list your options. And the fourth step is voice your choice and act. And then the last step, the fifth step, is to evaluate and adjust. Now, as I go through these problems and I teach you this problem solving step, I'm also going to work through a real problem in my life currently. So we're sharing a common space, and my daughter really wants to take her dance class and practice it in that same common space. It's the only space that has enough room for her to move. But it's also the space that I'm having to film in, and often I'm taking video conference calls in. And so it creates a conflict when she wants to use the space and I want to use the space. So I'll go through the steps, and I'm going to go through those steps as I think about solving this problem with my daughter. So first, what I need to do is stop and think. Am I ready to problem solve? I don't want to solve this problem when I'm upset, irritated, or angry. You can't really solve a problem with a red light brain. You can only solve a problem with a green light brain. So I want to make sure I'm calm before we start to problem solve. The next thing I want to consider in that is I want to make the relationship my priority. Let me just tell you, my relationship with my daughter is way more important than the sharing of the common space. So I really want to make my relationship the priority. And then the other thing I want to keep in mind is I want to start from a place of curious rather than a place of furious. Instead of saying, what's wrong with you? Why can't you be quiet? I want to start from a place of tell me what you need, what's going on, so I can understand what the dynamic is. All right, the second step is to objectively state the problem. We need to be able to see the problem from both sides. Instead of thinking the mug is blank, we need to be able to see it from both sides and recognize there's a message as well. All right, so once I can understand both perspectives, then I can solve the problem much more effectively by objectively stating it. We both want to share the space, and we need to find a way to do that without a problem. So what we want to do is list possible options to solve the objective problem of sharing a space. So the first thing we came up with was, I said, hey, why don't we build a schedule? And my daughter said, well, what about if you had a different space, a smaller room that might be quieter? Or I said, well, what about if you had a smaller room that might be quieter? And as we talked through that, eventually, after making lots of different ideas, my daughter came up with a great idea. She said, what if I wear my earbuds to take my dance class? Then the music will only be in my ears and you won't hear it. The only thing you'd hear is my footsteps. And I thought that was a great idea. So we list some options. We both agreed that's a pretty good idea. So we voiced our choice and act. But we eventually got to the last step, which is evaluate and adjust. Evaluate and adjust is to revisit the problem, because often the first solution doesn't solve it perfectly. You need to have a revised solution, which is what happened here. Because my daughter actually takes tap sometimes, when she was taking her tap class with her earbuds in, the tapping was definitely a distraction. So what we had to do was do a combination of the earbuds and then a schedule for when she had a tap class. So that's the evaluate and adjust. All right, so you can see the concept. Solving problems actually makes our relationships stronger. So problems really are opportunities to strengthen relationships by moving through them effectively. But the key is you've got to slow down to do that. Go through the steps, stop, make sure you put the priority first, then objectively state the problem, list your options, voice your choice and act, and evaluate and adjust. And if you'll do those things, just remember, if there is a problem, you can solve it. See you next time.